Now, of course, Cinderella has been made and remade many different times. The animated version, there's the version that aired recently on TV in 1997, actually, with Whitney Houston. What made you decide to remake it yet again?
Well, it came to me from Disney, who had a kind of plan to look at the animated classics that they had and see whether there was a live-action version of these stories that could live in the 21st century and still give people some of what they might want from a fairy tale. They sent it to me, and I was surprised to be asked to do a fairy tale, very surprised at how emotional the film made me feel, and surprised and very enthused by understanding a little more of why people were so drawn to this character and why this story has been done not only across the kind of movies you've mentioned, but culturally across dozens of cultures for thousands of years. People have been behind this underdog story.
You did mention there's a little bit more of a spin with some of the characters in this version, particularly with the wicked stepmother, played by Cate Blanchett. There seems to be more depth there, a little more of a backstory. Am I wrong? Because I felt I sort of rooted for her in some sense because she seemed one of the most human characters in there. I could sense her failings. I could see it in her eyes. Am I so wrong?
No, I'm pleased. I'm pleased that you got that from the performance. She's a great actress, and Chris Weitz in his screenplay gave that opportunity to just see where she comes from. Understand she's a very formidable, kind of antagonist for Cinderella, and with Cate Blanchett you get that kind of depth. I mean, I think that the great thing about what she does, she doesn't make a plea for sympathy, but I think you do understand, and she is a little more damaged than some in the movie, but also she makes certain choices that we see Cinderella does not make about how you react when you suffer misfortune.
Now, this is such a beautifully earnest, irony-free retelling of the Cinderella tale. Did you worry at all that perhaps that wasn't the fashionable choice? Were you at all tempted to add some of those darker, grim fairy tale elements of the Cinderella story?
In the way we do the movie, what I love is in Lily James's performance, there is quite a lot of wry observation of some of the kind of behavior she has to put up with from both stepsisters and stepmother. So I think the audience, are quietly intuiting that, you know, she could be just as sarky and snarky as sometimes those girls are to her. And it's not like she doesn't feel these things or doesn't have a developed sense of humor to deal with it. But basically, we felt very strongly, to your point, that a belief in what could be, in fact, so unusual these days, it could be refreshing, in her sort of purity of intention. It doesn't make her stupid or naive or unsophisticated, but she believes in what her mother passes on. Have courage and be kind. It's very easy to say. It's really hard to do. It probably starts on any given day with a smile. When people don't smile back, you have a choice about whether you get grumpy like them or you do something else. Ultimately, it's about, well, how do you see yourself? How do you want to feel about yourself? And, you know, anything's okay, but that sort of full-blooded approach to it, I think, is what we enjoy, and it was a chance to do that, as you say, with a kind of full commitment to goodness and courage.
Which is lovely because it's sort of new.
Yeah, well, it kind of is, because we get embarrassed, don't we, about somehow we don't want to be seen as uncool, we don't want to seem as foolish, you know. You know, in casting Lily James, I think you get somebody who goes through the picture, feels these things, i.e. follows the path of non-violent resistance, but with wit and spunk and guts and everything, and stands up, asks questions, says, why are you so cruel to this stepmother? But she's sexy and she's fun and she's smart. First time we see grown-up Cinderella, she's reading a book, so she's no slouch. And I think somehow she just allows us to feel, you know, it's all right, it's okay to be nice, and it's okay to have a go at being brave.